Hey there, my name is David Kozlowski, and you're listening to the Peru Travel Podcast, a show where we talk all about Peru travel. Between my co-host Kevin Groh and myself, we have over 6 years of work and experience in the Peru travel industry. We've developed a business called Kachi Life that helps push the limits of sustainable tourism and provides help and support to those surrounding communities that otherwise don't benefit from the travel industry. We are Kachi Life, and this is the Peru Travel Podcast. Hello and welcome back to the Peru Travel Podcast. I'm your host, David Kozlowski. Alongside me is Kevin Groh, and today we're talking about being sick is all get out in Peru. That means that anything related to being sick in Peru, we're going to talk about it today. And why this is a big deal is obviously we know about the coronavirus that's going around right now. We know that there's a lot of things in the media, and we also know that our Facebook group was popping off with a bunch of questions about altitude sickness, things like what was it? All the vaccines, like have you gotten vaccines, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and just close the door, and we're basically going to just drill all the stuff about being sick and knock it out in this episode.
Well, we should, first of all, if we're going to, go along the theme of getting names right and pronouncing things correctly, it should be COVID-19, not coronavirus.
Gotcha. So I don't know if anybody knows this, but Kevin is a physician's assistant. Okay.
Physician
assistant. Excuse me. I put an S at the end. Is that what it was? Does that mean
no S.
Possessive or whatever?
There's no S. Yeah, possessive.
Yeah. So, okay.
I ain't no slave.
Yeah. So he's a PA. So he's got a good medical background. We talked about doing this podcast for a really long time, but Kev really is he's a very analytical person. I think we've talked about that before. He's very intelligent, and he wanted to make sure that he did his due diligence and had as much information as possible when coming into this podcast. So he has literally a document in front of him that he's going to go through all the notes he's taken, and hopefully we get the best information related to all your vaccine questions, altitude sickness, and hopefully have a little bit of fun doing it. But before we start, did you have something?
Yeah, so I was going to say, we should just give the full disclosure / disclaimer.
Okay.
So obviously this is for entertainment purposes only. I may be a physician assistant, but full disclosure, I work in orthopedics. So, I have some knowledge, but again, this is,
He's trying to protect himself legally.
This is not advice. You should see your phisian.
Yeah, or a travel doctor.
Yep. And because, this is just for fun.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. It's very meticulous, this one, by the book. So quick shout out before we get into the episode. If you haven't, check out our Facebook group, which we just mentioned a little bit earlier. That is Peru Tips for Travelers. It is a safe space to ask any given question about Peru. And if you are booking a trip to Peru and you haven't found a tour company, we highly recommend that you book with Kachi Life, which is our private business on the side. It is called Kachi Life. That's CACHI Life. And you can look us up at kachilife.com. We're a Peru travel company focused on sustainable tourism. And if you don't do that, that's fine. No problem. You still have access, obviously, to the podcast, to our Peru Tips for Travelers group, a bunch of blog content on our website if you go check it out. And we've got a lot of different things in the works. People have emailed us about itineraries. We shoot those out to folks. We ask that you potentially leave us a 5-star review. And I'm going to throw another thing in here. This is our full-time job, this is not our full-time job. We wish it was our full-time job. The guys that work in Peru, David, who we reference quite a bit on the show, he is full-time in Peru with his family, his brother. There's a lot of different guides that are full-time, but we still have not been able to make this our full-time job. So we actually, Kevin, as we said, as a PA, I'm a creative director at a marketing agency, and we would love for this to be our full-time job, but unfortunately it's not just yet. So any bookings that we get, any reviews we get is always super helpful to keep us moving forward. And in the future, we may do something where it's like, hey, a donation to help, keep the podcast running because it is in our spare time. We get so many emails about like, when are you going to do your next one? When are you going to do your next one? We got to find time. And it's hard to find time when, it's something that you just don't make money on. So not a big deal. We love making it, but that's just kind of the reality of it, I guess, if you will. What do you think, Kev? Is that fair?
Man. Yeah, absolutely. It's fun and we enjoy it. And, like we've talked about before, we love travel and, just supporting the local communities down there and David and all that stuff.
Yeah. Notice how he says, we say my name's David and his is David. How do I get the ah? How do we swap that out? All right, cool. So yeah, 5-star review. And speaking of 5-star review, we've got a couple reviews, and typically, no, actually we do read all of them, but there's 2 of them in particular that I want to talk about. One is Peru Dude, who I believe I know who that is. Reached out to us via email. Super nice guy. He said, you definitely can feel their love of Peru and their dedication to fair tourism practices is awesome. Keep up the good work, guys. What a sweet 5-star review. That's like heartwarming.
That's yeah, I appreciate that.
That was in 2019, so we're a little behind the ball.
Right.
Following that, we did get a 3-star review by JRick87, and hands down, totally agree with this one. Loves the content, but the call and guests are really hard to listen to with crackling mics and crank yanker phone call sound quality, which I watched crank yankers when I was in college. So
that's great.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, it's true, right? Like, definitely deserve that. The call-in audio has not been fantastic in the past, and that's definitely something we're trying to figure out. We're not audio engineers, but it's on our radar, and we're going to do better. We may not even do phone call-ins. We may just have people show up into my house, I guess, into the office and do it with us live and in person, just to eliminate that. Because I agree, I hate listening to podcasts where the call-ins sound horrible. We've had a couple in the past that just weren't hitting the ice, and hitting the ice. That's a phrase. Is that a phrase?
Yeah. One thing I did notice though is if you speed it up to like 2 times speed, it doesn't sound as bad.
Here's your fix. Listen fast. Speaking of phrases, I don't think hitting the ice is a phrase, but I do say something at work now, and my team makes fun of me for it. I'll walk in and I'll be like, sweet beans. And they have no idea what it means. Hell, I don't really know what it means, but I like it. Sweet beans. It's like you try to act like super Southern, even though we're not Southern at all. People will start using that. Sweet beans. Just, man, I don't know. Something about it just falls off the tongue so nicely. All right, let's start talking about being sick in Peru. So the first one on your list, Kev, it looks like is, again, this is literally all vaccinations that are, recommended.
Depending on the situation.
By the CDC. And this is from the United States. So I guess it could vary anywhere. But to start out, hepatitis A. Now, I want to ask, do most people get this? What are the hepatitis shots that you get when you're younger?
So, again, I'm not super up to date on, because I don't work in primary care. I'm not super up to date on the current hepatitis schedule. But typically, if you work in healthcare, you're going to get your hepatitis B vaccination. Okay. Because that's typically transmitted through bloodborne.
I'm pretty sure I got Hep B when I was in like 8th grade.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't get it until I was a senior in high school because I was going to be a lifeguard.
That's maybe that's what it was. Sure. I don't know. I just remember I got Hep B. Hep C, is there a shot to prevent that?
There's no Hep C vaccination.
I didn't think so.
As of right now.
And then Hep A, what is hepatitis A?
So all of hepatitis basically is inflammation of the liver. It's a disease of the liver that's caused by a virus.
So all hepatitis are liver based?
Yep, they're all. So hepatic in medical terms means your liver. That's, okay. So there's a ton of different types of hepatitis. There's hepatitis A, B, C, D, E, etc. So all hepatitis is inflammation of the liver caused by a virus.
Interesting. Okay. And it says here you've got is a viral inflammation of the liver, fatigue, nausea, poor appetite, belly pain, and mild fever or yellow skin or eyes, jaundice.
Yep. So jaundice is what happens when you get hepatitis. That's one of the symptoms. Now, all the various different hepatitis have different levels of severity.
Okay.
So hepatitis A is generally the most mild.
Okay.
Typically what that is, as you were saying, symptoms, fatigue, nausea, poor appetite, belly pain, fever. You just get sick. You don't feel good.
Does it go away by itself?
Hepatitis A will typically go away. It's typically more of a mild disease.
Okay.
Feel sick, goes away, body fights it off. You're good to go.
And then how do you get it?
So typically hepatitis A is off of contaminated food or water. You're eating it. So usually it's fecal to oral. So if you're not...
I'm sorry?
Fecal to oral.
Fecal to oral. Yeah. Just want to make sure I understand what that means. That means eating someone's poop?
Essentially, yeah. Microscopic. Not washing your hands, not cleaning off the fluid.
Oh, got it. I was like, all right, if there's anybody listening that's into some crazy stuff at home.
Yeah, right. If
you're like McAfee.
If you go to the restaurant and the chef doesn't wash his hands, after using the bathroom, that's how it's gonna, get spread.
Crazy. It really puts in perspective how important it is to wash your hands.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you should always wash your hands. It's one of the biggest contributors to reducing sickness is washing your hands.
All right, this is going to be dumb. Let's go ahead and break this down because I remember there was a conversation when we were in college. Kevin and I went to the same university. I played at the same university for like a semester. Kevin actually finished and went all the way through as I left to go to Wisconsin. Your dad and I got into a conversation about washing hands. Do you remember this?
Briefly.
In front of your garage, and your dad was like, I always go in and I get my hands wet and then dry them off. And your response was, that's not washing your hands.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, it is.
You got to use soap and water. Soap and water, 20 seconds with the soap, scrubbing.
Okay, this is like such a dumb conversation, but why? What is the soap doing?
So soap is encapsulating anything that's... soap works the same way for everything, whether you're washing your clothes, washing dishes, washing your hands. It encapsulates what the substance that is in them or on them, trapping it so it can be easily removed.
All right, let's backtrack.
It's basically grabbing it.
Okay, so then let's say I don't wash my hands after I go to the bathroom, and I use antibacterial, this, you know what I mean?
Right.
The alcohol stuff?
Yep.
What does that do?
So that is destroying whatever is on. It's not removing it from your hands. It's breaking it down and killing it.
Interesting.
It's difference.
Crazy.
So it's still effective. It's not as effective as washing your hands because it's preferable to remove the virus or whatever it is, or bacteria that's on your hands.
Okay.
But killing it is effective too.
Here's the good thing. I was always kind of presented that Hep A was a problem with water.
Yeah, that's one of the most common. Mm-hmm.
So it can come from water?
Yeah. So, if you don't, like in the US, we have good water sanitation systems. If you're traveling to a country that doesn't have that and you drink the water, if there's not good sanitation,
so then
cleaning the water.
What do you do in the situation where you wash your hands in Peru with soap and their water? Can you still get Hep A?
Yeah, you could still get it. It's
from the water, I'm saying.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can. It's a lower risk. There's a risk, but it's a little bit lower.
Okay, interesting.
Than just like down in a full glass of tap water.
All right,
it's going to have a lot higher risk.
What do we do to prevent it?
So there's a hepatitis A vaccine that was developed. It's essentially a series of 2 shots. The first shot should be at least 2 weeks before you're traveling. Typically, most shots, once you get one, you're pretty much almost all the way there on effectiveness.
Okay.
The reason you get the subsequent shots, or immunizations, is to increase that effectiveness.
Okay.
So first one for hepatitis A should be 2 weeks prior to travel. Then you're probably good. But you should finish out the series. It's two shot series. Second one, you get anywhere from 6 to 12 months after you do the first shot.
Okay.
So in Peru, it's recommended for everyone because of that poor water sanitation, or not as clean water that they have in other countries.
Yeah. No, that's fair. So just to clarify, basically, it doesn't matter if you get the second shot of Hep A, you're not immune to Hep A, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, any vaccinations, no matter what they are, you're not going to be 100% immune. I mean, think about the flu vaccination. So, 1 year, I believe it was 40% effective. But here's the thing. Getting any vaccination, and what happens, your body's producing antibodies once you get the vaccination. So either when you're exposed to that virus, once your body has the antibodies, either A, you're not going to get sick, or B, you're going to be able to fight it off much better, reducing your symptoms, reducing long-term side effects, etc.
Okay. All right. Well, we're coming into the 14-minute mark here, so let's start cranking through these. Hep B, what's up?
So hepatitis B, same thing. Hepatitis is inflammation of the liver, just caused by a different virus. Most people that get hepatitis B, mild symptoms, not too bad, fight it off, no long-term side effects. However, the only difference with hepatitis B versus hepatitis A, this one actually can cause long-term problems to your liver.
Okay.
So they can be anything from actual liver damage causing cirrhosis where you get liver failure.
Yeah, that's bad.
Liver cancer, like those can be life threatening. All that can be life threatening things.
Sure. And it looks like here you can contract it through bodily fluids.
Yeah. So typically hepatitis B is transferred through bodily fluids. So that's why
sex.
Yeah, that's one way. That's one of the ways.
So don't have sex.
I mean,
you will die.
Safe sex, right? Safe sex is what we teach now.
Trying to play. There's a football coach that I had in high school who was like, it was like prom night. He was like, if you have sex, you will get herpes and you will die. That was his response.
Crazy.
I'm going to skip over this.
So that's why healthcare workers commonly get the hepatitis vaccination, because you're exposed to bodily fluids when you work in healthcare.
Sure.
So you can get exposure to human blood. You can get
tattoos.
Yeah, tattoos.
Yeah, sure.
Transfusions. If you're using drugs, injection.
It looks like that's like a 3-shot series.
Yeah, 3-shot series. So you get your first one.
Most people don't have Hep B. Is that like? I feel like we don't tell any of our friends when they go to Peru to get Hep B. I mean, I feel like I got that when I was in middle school.
Right, but you're probably lifeguard. That's when I got it, was because I was going to lifeguard for hepatitis B vaccination.
Interesting. I figured maybe you were just like, you're so old that they didn't give hepatitis B shots until, you know what I mean? Like when I was in middle school, you were like 40. So maybe that's the... In case we don't know, Kevin's way older than me. I mean, he's bald.
Right,
like he's just, my hair's only thinning. He's just full blown bald.
Yeah. So 3-shot series. First one, second one is 1 month later, and then you get your third one 6
months later.
Yep.
Got it. Mm-hmm. All right. Malaria.
And back up. That one is recommended for all Peru travelers.
All Peru, but Hep A is not.
Hep A is also recommended for all Peru travelers.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So, Malaria.
Most people probably heard of malaria. It's caused by getting bit by an infected mosquito. Basically, what malaria is, it's a parasite. Again, causes a lot of these things. Cause a lot of the same symptoms. Fever, tiredness, vomiting, because that's your immune response.
Yeah.
Your body trying to fight something off. Headaches. Again, this one can also be a life-threatening illness. So basically, a mosquito bites you. When it's biting you, the parasite passes through the contact of the barrier into your body, into the bloodstream. So now this one is not recommended for all travelers. There's no malaria if you're going anywhere above 6,500 feet or 2,000 meters because mosquitoes just aren't living at those elevations.
Who is in Greece or Rome, there was a guy, first person to sort of like study medicine, maybe? I read this thing a long time ago, or heard this thing where this gentleman, I don't know who it is right off the top of my head. It's somebody famous, but he basically came with this like note where he said, if you live in the swamp areas, you have a more higher chance of getting diseases. They didn't know it was relatable to mosquitoes, but basically it was correlating the fact that you lived in the mountains, you were healthier. And it was truly because of mosquitoes.
Sure.
Mosquitoes carried like all these diseases. I forget what.
I mean, I know a lot of the, and I'm not up to date which ones were the Roman versus Greek philosophers, but a lot of the philosophers talked about, about medicine. They study medicine as well. Socrates, Plato,
I think it was
Aristotle.
Socrates, but that's what I was going to say, but I didn't know. It was like
Marcus Aurelius,
Yeah.
So
that's interesting though that they didn't know what they were doing at the time, but they just had the general thought of like, oh, if you live in the mountains, you'll live longer and healthier. Whereas if you live in the swamps, you're probably going to die from malaria or something.
So basically the most commonly visited place for tourists that are below 2,000, where you're at risk for malaria is, the city of Iquitos, Puerto Maldonado, which is, if you're going up to the rainforest, humid, low elevation places.
Yeah.
If you're going to Lima, Arequipa, Huacachina, Nazca, Puno, going to Machu Picchu, Lake Titicaca, doing the Inca Trail, you don't need it because the elevation's so high, mosquitoes aren't going to be there. Yeah.
And the ways that you used to put here, use DEET bug spray.
Yep. So best ways to, just good prevention, right? So use bug spray, keep the mosquitoes off you. If you're in those areas where mosquitoes could bite you, sleeping, use bed nets. keeps the mosquitoes out while you're sleeping.
Like a princess bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool. That's adorable. Most commonly, what is that word?
So, he's looking at word prophylaxis. That means prevention.
He's looking at the word prophylaxis, people. Like, what an idiot. I can't believe he doesn't know how to pronounce that. Good Lord. It's only like I got X's and I's in there. Jeez.
Yeah, we get knocked for the way we pronounce things. In medicine, that just means prevention. Prophylaxis, prevention. So the most commonly used medications that you can, if you're going to use medication to prevent, going to these areas is one's chloroquine,
and doxycycline.
Oh,
yep. I got that one though. Come at me, bro.
Basically, their medication is just to prevent, it kills the parasite.
I will tell you from experience, I've had to take both of these. Right? I took one where I took one a week or something like that, and then I took one that was every day.
Right. So you definitely did the doxycycline because when we were there, we did doxycycline.
Right. So
there's a lot of agents that can prevent this. These are the two most commonly used. So there's other ones that are like once a week.
Oh, so this is still the chloroquine. Chloroquine is a once a day thing.
So no, that one is
one tablet per week. That's probably what my NP probably prescribed me, simply because here's what I'll tell you. From my experience, I hated the day pill so much because it just tore up my stomach. I stopped taking it, so I might have malaria.
Yeah,
like I legit I probably don't have malaria.
Doxycycline is pretty notorious for ripping up stomachs for people.
It sucked. It was so bad I stopped taking it. Like I was like, you know what? Screw it. If I get malaria, I guess I'm done. Like, guess I'm gonna die.
Which is not recommended because you have to take these medications 4 weeks after. The parasite just it stays in the system for.
Do you think I would see effects by now?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. So I don't have it. Good deal. Full transparency, just my own personal experience after taking both of these. I went to Sierra Leone, Africa, and I took the first one, take a tablet a week. And can you just say the both names just so people know?
So chloroquine.
Chloroquine is a one tablet per week.
Chloroquine, excuse me. See, even in medicine, we don't even know how to pronounce names. Yeah. Forget, the Spanish names.
Well, some physicians listen to this right now, and he's like, somebody should fire that guy.
And I'm a PA, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I work in ortho. We're the dumb ones of medicine.
Chloroquine is once a week, and doxycycline is every single day. Yep. And it looks like you notated significant GI side effects. Yeah. Kevin walked in. If you're unfamiliar with how it works in Peru, you can just walk into a pharmacy and pretty much just order anything off the counter. He walks in, I need doxycycline, buy this many, and he literally emptied out the pharmacy of their doxycycline for 3 people in our group. And I was like, good Lord. And the reason is we didn't know at the time that we were going to be in an area that had malaria. But the second that he saw that we were lower than 6,000 feet, he was like, oh, we've got to go to a pharmacy ASAP. So went to a pharmacy, emptied out their stock. They're like, who is this guy? And how does he know what he needs? That's pretty funny. Next one is measles.
Measles, yeah. So measles is airborne disease. Most common symptom. Most common symptoms are cough, runny nose, inflamed eyes, sore throat, fever. Again, similar symptoms.
Yeah.
You get a rash. This one can have some long-term side effects. They're rarer, but
isn't this the measles mumps? Like we get this.
Yeah, MMR. Yep. So basically, most people in the United States are going to be immunized against this when they're a kid. Now, if you haven't been immunized yet and you're going to Peru, you're not going to even probably listening to this podcast because you're already an anti-vaxxer. So,
oh my God.
You might as well just shut it off.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work. And there's,
Kev is not against anti-vaxxers at all. He's totally pro anti-vaccinations, right? That's why you're being sarcastic, right?
Yeah.
You love the idea of anti-vaccinations.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's the only physician probably on earth that's like, yes, you should not get vaccinated.
I have no words.
Find me a physician that thinks vaccinations are bad. All right, keep going.
Oh, I can. I know some.
Really?
Not personally, but they're out there. They're in the media.
That's crazy. All right, keep going.
So again, you're probably immunized against it when you're a kid. It's 2-dose series. Typically, first one is when you're anywhere from 6 months to 11 years old. Second one is after you get over 12 months old. 2-shot series. get it. I mean, have it when you're a kid. Have your kids get it. Here's what people don't think about when they're anti-vaxxers. Yeah, most of the symptoms aren't too bad, right? Typical symptoms aren't too bad. You get a rash, you get a fever, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
There's some long-term side effects in rarer cases. I mean, you're talking about hearing loss, pneumonia, brain swelling. You get brain swelling. I mean, you can die.
Yeah.
So just get it. Don't be ridiculous.
Crazy. Looks like the next one is rabies.
Yeah, rabies. Rabies is again another viral disease here. Causes inflammation of the brain. Very, very serious. Probably gonna die if you get rabies. Typically, it's caused by getting bit by some other mammal. So dogs, bats, other carnivores. It's present. It's not a super huge concern to the travelers. In Peru, you're going to see a lot of wild dogs, especially in Cusco. Just packs of dogs running around, no owners. That's where you're kind of risking getting it. Or if you're doing like caving in Peru, something like that, bats are going to have a high risk. So basically, it's recommended for anyone that are going to these remote areas, or if you're going to be there a very long time, because the longer you're around, exposed or in contact, the higher your risk goes up. With that being said, I've never had it. I didn't see I've never gone long enough where I was concerned.
Isn't it something where you have to have it on your hand the entire time that you're with you?
Sorry, what?
Isn't it something like, I thought that the rabies vaccination or shot was that you had to have it on you in your pocket, basically. Did I misunderstand that?
That's the treatment. So
okay.
If you get bit, you're basically injecting the site around the bite.
Why wouldn't you just get the vaccination in general so you never have to worry about it?
I mean, it's risk versus benefit. It's expensive. It's expensive shot, rabies.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, and it's people think about back, like that it's super painful. That's what a lot of people have heard. It's very, very painful.
Yeah, it's like you can't swallow.
It's not like that.
Oh, excuse
anymore.
me. You mean the vaccination schedule?
Right. Yeah. The vaccination schedule.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, the disease it's severe. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna die.
Yeah, it's something like your Davy Crockett had a thing when I was listening to a podcast. He was around people that got rabies, and like you can't drink water. Like it's like burning. You can't swallow your spit.
Right. You get brain inflammation.
It's crazy.
It affects the functioning of your body. So, yeah, if you're at one of those risk travelers, remote areas, caving, long-term traveler, get it. Just, prevention is better than trying to have to scramble once you get bit.
Sure. Typhoid.
So typhoid is a bacterial infection. Pretty severe symptoms and disease process, high fever, diarrhea, vomiting. It can be fatal. Again, bacterial infections. So a lot of times these are spread from fecal to oral, contaminated food and water. Most travelers in Peru, it's recommended to have it because again, you got that not as good of a water sanitation as other countries. So, I think it's worth getting.
Yeah.
You just don't want to get sick, right? You want to be, have a good time in Peru and have fun and be healthy.
Jeez.
There's two different ways to get vaccinated for this. There's a series of oral tablets, which is the actual live bacteria, or there's a injection vaccine. Pills are taken. It's 4 tablets you take every other day. The injection is one injection. And
then the injection lasts 2 years in the pill form.
Yeah, so that's a lot of people are pushing the vaccine, or excuse me, the injection.
Why is that?
It's more costly, so maybe they make more money.
Interesting.
That's one thought that I have. I'm not really sure if I tell all my friends, get the pill. It lasts 5 years. It's cheaper versus the injection it only lasts 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So my typhoid has actually expired. I got the shot and now I'm we're going in June, obviously back to Peru, and I'll have to be getting I've gotten the capsule already.
Right.
So I've got to go through, it's still in my closet. Yeah. I've got to get that.
I mean, there's some evidence also shows that the capsules are more effective the vaccine or the injection is.
Interesting.
So
yeah, so there you go. I mean, if you plan on going to another developing country again, that requires typhoid, pill lasts 5 years and shot does too.
Right. So this one, I'd say all people should, I tell everyone to get this one.
Yeah, that's your recommendation.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yellow fever.
So yellow fever. Yellow fever is again passed through infected mosquitoes. It's a virus. This one's severe. It's a hemorrhagic disease. Basically means bleeding, bleeding everywhere.
Jeez.
So symptoms: fevers, headaches, jaundice. Again, similar stuff: muscle pain, nausea, vomiting.
Die 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, it's severe. Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, 7 to 10 days. It's bad. It's a bad disease.
Elevations less. Wait, what does this say? Higher.
Right. So if you're going to elevations less than, again, that elevation that we talked about before, 6,500, roughly anywhere 2,000 to 2,300 meters below, because that's where mosquitoes are, right?
Yeah.
It's passed via mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
Get it. Get the yellow fever vaccination.
That's crazy. So should we have gotten it the day that we did, or that we were doing malaria?
Yeah, I mean, right. Yeah, you have that risk, but I mean, the problem is we were already there.
Yeah.
So
nothing we could do.
You have to get it 10 days before you travel to the area. So we're there. We already took the risk.
How long does it last?
It's lifetime. This one's lifetime.
Oh,
One
man.
time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So why do I have the yellow card in my passport?
A lot of countries require that
Yeah, proof.
you have proof to enter the country. There's certain countries when you're traveling that they want to know that you've had the vaccination.
Why is that?
I'm not up to date on that.
It's kind of interesting that they require you to have it to come in, yet it's like running rampant in the country. That's very interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got the yellow fever and it's locked in my passport. Just a big old yellow card. Let's see, regular meds to bring. You've got a whole list. All right, Imodium. That's when you got the poops.
Yep, traveler's diarrhea.
Yeah. Why does that happen? Like, why do you get diarrhea?
It's basically you're eating or drinking water that has bacteria, viruses, parasites in it. So your body's not used to those
The parasites, yeah.
It's not used to it. So you develop immune response. Way to get rid of it, diarrhea.
It's so crazy. It is mind blowing because in some places I've been to, like the locals will drink the water and they're like, the legit response from some of the people that I worked with is like, oh, you can't drink this water. Like, what do you mean? They're like, I can drink this water, but you can't. What you mean? It's the same stuff. They're like, no, it's not the same stuff, bro. You can't drink what I drink. It's so weird. I just said, bro.
They're used to it.
By the way, that's a millennial term. I need to watch that. I just said, bro.
So here's the thing. The reason why they can drink it versus you can't drink it is because they've been there. They've been drinking it. They got the antibodies developed versus you're only going to be there for, 2 weeks.
Right.
So even if they'll wash off the vegetables that they're cooking with water. So you're ingesting a smaller amount, which means your immune response, you're going to develop a slight immune response because there's going to be a little bit of bacteria.
Yeah.
But that time frame, 2 weeks, you're going to have it while you're there. Just enjoy your trip. Bring Imodium.
Yeah.
So you're going to get it. You're probably going to get diarrhea. Bring Imodium. It hardens up your stool.
Oh, wow.
Make sure you're not
hardens it up.
Yeah, having to go all the time.
That's good. Anything else on poops? No?
Not that I know of.
All right. Next one, altitude sick. We're at the final stretch, guys. This is a little longer, but there's a lot of things you can get. Altitude sickness.
So altitude sickness, basically what's going on there is you go to high elevation. You're not used to a higher elevation area. You start feeling bad. You get headaches, nausea, decreased appetite.
We talked about this on a previous podcast.
Yeah, there's some medications you can take to help acclimate or
Diamox.
Reduce symptoms. Yeah. So Diamox, or the generic is acetazolamide.
All right. So we did a survey on the Peru Tips for Travelers, and we asked the group if they took altitude sickness medication and how they felt, and if they didn't and how they felt. And majority of the people said that they didn't take altitude sickness and they didn't feel any problems while they were in Cusco. That being said, Kevin also didn't take pills, and he put on there that he felt fine when he was in Cusco, but his ass got super sick one day on Rainbow Mountain. Now, I know that our situation was a little bit unique in the sense that the day we landed, we literally went on this like hike up to Rainbow Mountain. But I don't know. I kind of err, me personally. I'm not a PA. I'm not a doctor or anything, but I kind of err on the side. I'd rather have it and need it than I don't know. Maybe that's like a negative way of thinking about, like, I'm going to get it before I go back to Cusco again.
Right. I mean, everything is risk versus reward, right? So there are some side effects to taking Diamox. Dehydration. That's one of the most common ones.
Yeah.
You get another one of the most common ones is you get like this tingling feeling throughout your body.
Oh, I love that pre-workout feeling. Just kidding.
So, I mean, physicians, the most commonly recommended advice is good acclimating, slow going up in elevation slowly. That's the best thing you can do.
Sure.
Now, if you're going to go up quickly, like we did, we went from 0 to, what was top of Rainbow Mountain again? Like 17,000 or something.
Yeah, like that.
So that's quick. 24 hours, boom. That's fast.
So rule me this out. Let's say you live in Denver, you go to Cusco, you're going to be like, I don't need that stuff. I live in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, you're at less risk.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it does matter.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
Yeah. So, I mean, the other one too is I can't take Diamox because I'm allergic to sulfa.
Really?
So if I were to take something, basically I'd have to take something like prednisone, dexamethasone. Basically that's reducing the inflammation response.
Yeah. That's not that great.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I just can't take it.
Yeah. All right. Can you buy any of this stuff that we've just talked about in Peru?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of medications in Peru are over the counter. It's not as regulated as in the US or other countries. You need doxycycline. It just depends what pharmacy you're at. I mean, the pharmacy that we went to when we got the doxycycline, I don't think they had the chloroquine.
All right, so then I got a question on the Diamox that you can buy in Peru. $3 for 10 pills, you said, or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's cheap.
Okay, so is it too late once you're there?
Depends what you're in Lima. No, because you're at zero elevation.
But don't you have to be like taking it 2 days before you leave?
Yeah, the recommended is taking it 2 days before you go, and then continue for 3 to 4 days after you arrived at the elevation.
Okay. You may or may not know this because I threw this in last second. I'm sick. Where do I go?
I mean, honestly, the best thing is talk to your hotel. They'll point you in the right direction with some doctors to go to.
Like where to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They know places. Talk to the community.
Water. Am I drinking out of bottles or am I
all bottles?
All bottles, even at restaurants.
Yeah, because again, we talked about that. Fecal to oral problems, and you don't want to expose yourself.
Okay.
So you're gonna get worse traveler's diarrhea if you're drinking all the tap. Just get some bottles. They're cheap.
So don't drink the tap water. Right. I'm going to skip this one and come back to it. I'm going to end it with it. But I wrote down a list of like bugs, things to kind of worry about. I'm going to rattle some of these off. Brazilian, I looked at some of these photos, by the way. They're pretty crazy. Brazilian wandering spider, Goliath bird, eater spider, brown recluses, they're in the States, tarantulas, green tree vipers, boa constrictors, South American bush masters, and sandflies. And sandflies, man, look brutal. Have you seen a sandfly like image of when they bite?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh man, it like eats your skin. It's a fly.
Dang.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, we've been to Peru multiple times. I've never run into any of these creatures, but we've also never been in the rainforest. So something to be thinking about, I guess, if you're heading to the rainforest, because I believe most of these were in the rainforest, except for the brown recluses. I mean, those are kind of everywhere. I mean, just be mindful. Some of the snakes, like the green tree viper, if you are in the jungle, one of the things I read was just keep an eye on the trees, brushes that you're going by, because they do blend in the trees and they do bite you if you like touch into them. I'm not a reptile expert. Okay. This is what I read on a blog. So yeah, it's something to be thinking about. And tarantulas, I also read too that they aren't that big of a deal.
I mean, yeah, we have tarantulas in the US. They're not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
They're really not. I mean, they're scary. They're massive, but
yeah. The Goliath bird eater spider. Pretty sure I saw a photo of it eating a damn bird.
Jeez. Holy cow.
And then the last one, look, I mean, this is it. I made a little crack at it at the beginning, but it comes down to like STDs. And I had asked Kevin the question, sort of, if somebody's going to Peru, a lot of people are going on vacation, a lot of college kids, a lot of people kind of going out there looking to have fun. And I mean, I don't know if there's a statistic out there that we can find, but basically showcasing like what this STD rate is in Peru versus the US, Canada, Europe, etc. But don't be a dumbass. Wear a condom.
Yeah, I mean, safe sex, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's everywhere you go.
Right.
You know, practice safe sex.
Yeah. It would be mistaken for me to say that I haven't met people who haven't made mistakes in the past in foreign countries. And it's really unfortunate in those situations to hear those stories, because you're like, oh my God, like that was really dumb on your part. But at the same time, I feel like most people listen to this podcast trying to get informed. So just don't be stupid. And most of this stuff here too, man, like the vaccinations, get them ahead of time. Make sure you're prepared. Go to the CDC website, take a look at it. And, again, same with the altitude sickness. Like, sure, if you've never been and you want to just risk it, but know that if you do get altitude sickness, I mean, it's going to destroy you for a day. I mean, you're
not going to feel good.
Yeah. It's going to be brutal.
I mean, altitude sickness can kill you. It's possible that it can kill you. It's not unheard of.
It's crazy.
Basically what happens is you get fluid around either your lungs or your brain. And the only treatment for that is going down in elevation.
I guess probably the key takeaway is just respect the fact of where you're going, right? Like respect the fact that you're traveling to a foreign country and that you probably need to be a little bit alert in the sense of like, hey, this is what I could run into. This is what I'm going to be around. Don't pet the dogs. I mean, that one kills me. I mean, what was it, New Year's Eve? We saw like a horde of dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a dog was in heat or something.
Yep.
And they were just all fighting back and forth, biting each other. And it's like, don't pet the dogs.
Literally 20 dogs.
Yeah, it was nuts. And it kept us up all night for hours. And I was like, I want to go out there and like shoo them away. But at the same time, they got a dog problem. So if there's any vets, I think I talked to my friend who's a vet, Kelly, about this. Is like, I mean, do they do trips where they like neuter like animals? You know what I mean? Just to like, she gave me some more insight, I believe, that was a little bit more intense. But I mean, yeah, they do have a dog problem. So dogs are running rampant. But hey, this episode about being sick. Appreciate everybody listening. I know it was super long, about that 40 minute length, but hopefully it was really informative. Again, just a shout out. If you're looking for a safe place to ask questions, Peru Tips for Travelers, the Facebook group, it's growing like crazy right now. Getting a lot of great people on there. A lot of people talking about the companies they've used, to the blogs they've written, to like the notes they have. Go check it out. If you haven't booked your trip, we ask that you book through Kachi Life, CACHI life.com. And again, this is our part-time gig. So show some love if you can. And if you like what we're doing, please hit us up with that 5-star review. And in the future, we may have a donations bin, because we need to try to, man, I would love to find somebody who knows how to like mix podcasts and like make us sound better. You know what I mean? I want that Chocolate Rain voice.
Right.
Yeah. You remember that guy?
Chocolate Rain.
That's right.
Whatever.
You just
Chocolate
tried
Rain.
it. Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. I'm David Kozlowski, Kevin Groh.
We're out.
We're out. Take care. Bye-bye.